Obi Toppin and the New York Knicks are apparently not on great terms. There have been reports indicating that Obi Toppin is extremely frustrated and unhappy with his role on the New York Knicks. If that wasn't enough, we got another report that came out stating that during the playoffs, Obi Toppin and Tom Thibodeau had an intense verbal altercation. We're going to discuss all of this and so much more today on the Knicks Digest. Obi Toppin is apparently unhappy with his role on the New York Knicks. This report actually comes out from Steph Bondy from the New York Daily News. In this article, Bondy notes that Obi Toppin is frustrated with his role on the New York Knicks. According to Steph Bondy, Toppin was frustrated at times with his role, although he refrained from complaining to the media last season. If New York considers trading him, Bondy noted that a league executive tapped Toppin's trade value as a late first rounder. I'm not shocked or surprised by this. I don't think anybody who's watched the Knicks over the last few seasons are shocked by this report. Obi Toppin was drafted in 2020, and when he was drafted, he was supposed to take over for Julius Randle. Nobody thought, though, that Julius Randle was gonna have the type of season that he ended up having. Julius Randle went off after Toppin was drafted. He became a multiple-time All-Star, a multiple-time All-NBA player, so clearly he took his game to the next level at a time where nobody thought he would. If the Knicks knew that Obi Toppin was not going to get this much playing time and Julius Randle was going to be this version of himself, I absolutely think that they would have not drafted Obi Toppin and probably drafted Tyrese Halliburton and basically redo this entire structure that we have going on with the New York Knicks. We probably wouldn't have had Jalen Brunson if that happened as well too. So there's a lot of things to look at and a lot of factors to go into here. But clearly Obi Toppin is not happy being the backup to Randle. Look at these numbers from Obi Toppin in regards to what he did in season 3 with the New York Knicks. In terms of his numbers, he played 67 games, and in those games, he had 7.4 points, 2.8 rebounds, and averaged around 15.7 minutes per game while shooting 44.6%. I don't have to tell you anything about this. This is lower production than his previous season. And now in year 3, he's doing a little bit worse. He's playing a little bit less. If I'm Obi Toppin, I'm absolutely miserable right now. I want to play for my home team. I want to do well. I want to show what I can do. But I can't because each and every time I try to showcase what I can do, I get hit to the side because apparently it doesn't matter what I do on the court or how much I play or what things I'm good at and what things I need work on. Regardless of everything, Julius Randle's going to get the bulk of the minutes, and I'm always going to get very subpar minutes or garbage time, depending on how the game is going. And as a player, I don't want that. I want to compete on a high level. I'm competitive on a high level. So because of that, I want to play my best game for as many minutes as I can when I'm out there. And for whatever reason, Tom Thibodeau doesn't play Julius Randle and Obi Toppin together, which if you did, you could increase Obi Toppin's average minutes from maybe 15 to 20, and maybe this whole situation doesn't even exist if you do that. But for 3 years straight, he's been Julius Randle's understudy. For 3 years straight, he's been his backup, and for 3 years straight, he has not been able to showcase what he can do with heavy playing time unless it's garbage time or they're playing very, very late into the season where the games don't matter anymore, and he's getting starter minutes at that point. But either way, it's not the way you want to play basketball, especially when you are a very, very high competitive player in college. If that wasn't enough, Steve Popper of Newsday added even more fuel to the fire when he reported this. League sources indicated that Toppin was hoping for a trade at the deadline last season, and now both sides are in alignment that it's time for a change of scenery. Absolutely big news here from Steve Popper, basically indicating that Obi Toppin does not want to be a New York Knick any longer. He wants to be moved, he wants to be traded, he wants to go somewhere that they're not only going to value him, but they're going to make him feel appreciated. And that's really what one of the main things are when you're playing for a team. You want to feel that you're valued and that your talents and strengths are being utilized in a way that can help you become the best player you can possibly be. Is that what's happening with Obi Toppin on the New York Knicks? Is he able to showcase everything he can do and play a lot of time as a New York Knick? The answer is no. Even when Obi Toppin's in the game, he's stuck to the corner like a Steve Novak clone trying to shoot threes. Even those threes look like Carlos Boozer type of threes where they go over your head and you can't even see the shot. It's very, very odd at times. It's clear Obi Toppin needs work on his body, work on his shot, and he needs to get more comfortable. That's not only on Toppin though. That is also on the coaching staff, and also more importantly, it's on Tom Thibodeau. Speaking of Tom Thibodeau, Obi Toppin and Tom Thibodeau had a heated verbal altercation apparently during the playoffs. Now, to the extent, I'm not sure how much or how heated it was, but at least according to Fred Katz, Obi Toppin and Tom Thibodeau had a heated discussion during Game 4 after the loss to the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference semifinals. According to Fred Katz, New York Knicks forward Obi Toppin and head coach Tom Thibodeau engaged in an intense verbal altercation following the team's Game 4 loss to the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Fred Katz also goes on to note that the argument spilled into the post-game meeting once the doors closed, though he reported the situation didn't lead to any fallout or lingering resentment. Didn't lead to any fallout? What are we covering right now? It absolutely led to fallout. Obi Toppin is not happy. He is upset, unhappy with his role as a New York Knick. He is not playing as much as he wants to. He's not given the same opportunity. He is always stuck behind Julius Randle. There is no experimentation with the lineups, no clear-cut way for Tom Thibodeau to play Julius Randle and Obi Toppin together because he worries about the defense. He seems to think that Julius Randle and Obi Toppin just don't play well together. So he looks at other type of lineups that exclude Obi Toppin but include Randle to play them. And you can see when he plays different type of lineups, normally Randle is in there a lot and getting switched around different positions, but Obi Toppin is not in there with him. And I think if you could just find a way to play Randle and Toppin for an additional 6 or 7 minutes a game to allow Toppin's minutes to go from 15 to 21 or 22, we're having a whole different conversation. Fred Katz also notes the following. More than anything else, the Knicks need to outline Toppin's role and sort out his long-term future. That preferably happens this offseason because the 25-year-old is eligible for restricted free agency in 2024. So the Knicks either have to extend Toppin this offseason or they're going to let him walk next season. And for me personally, why does it make sense to extend Toppin if you're not going to play him anyways? If he's always going to be a backup, if he's never going to get starter minutes, if it's never going to be cracking 20, 25, 23 minutes even, if he can't even average 23 minutes per game as a New York Knick in his 4th season coming up, then there's no reason to re-sign him. Please, New York, if you're not going to give Obi Toppin the time to showcase what he can do and he's always going to be Julius Randle's backup, then just move on. Toppin doesn't want to be in New York anymore. He's basically stated that. He wanted to be moved at the trade deadline and clearly wants to change the scenery now. So all of the directions and things are pointing into that Obi Toppin and the New York Knicks are going to go their separate ways, and Obi Toppin will not be a New York Knick come next season. For me personally, I hate treating our draft players like this. If we drafted you, we were so happy to get you, and we wanted you as part of the team, then I think it's up to the Knicks, the coaching staff, and everyone to make that player fit and work for what we're trying to build. And if he doesn't, you still try to keep his value high so when you trade him, you can get another asset back that you can use to build. I would say the New York Knicks didn't do that with Obi Toppin. If anything, they let his value go more to the bottom. They didn't increase his value because he's lacked playing time, so you can't really increase somebody's value when you don't see what they can do on the court. But clearly, this is an ugly situation for the New York Knicks. You don't want a top 10 pick that you chose to draft having these type of feelings coming to New York because it sends a very direct message to other rookies, other players around the league that if you come to New York but you don't fit the exact style and nature of what they're doing, either you're going to be used limitedly, or you're not going to be used at all and just be somebody on the bench. This is important to note because if you're a player anywhere around the world, if you're a player in the NBA looking for a change of scenery, or you're a rookie trying to build your name up, things like this are taken into account. Because if you're a rookie and you can't build up your stock on the team you go to, you may not want to go there. If a top 10 former pick in Obi Toppin couldn't get the playing time needed to increase his value and showcase what he can do, how can we trust anybody that the New York Knicks bring in if they're young and inexperienced and they're not going to have play time to increase their playing, increase their production, and increase what they can do? It just doesn't make sense. The Knicks are clearly not drafting. They don't want to draft. They have the pieces that they have, and they want those pieces to develop and thrive. But they don't want to add any other developmental pieces around that. If anything, they want to add key free agents and stars that already have their games developed to complement Brunson, Randle, and whoever else they keep as part of the team. So I think that's the route they go. The New York Knicks have a lot of decisions to make. The offseason has basically started now since the NBA draft occurred yesterday, and that's done with. And now the Knicks have a lot of decisions to make in regards to who they keep, who they move, and who they add. If you like this episode, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.